Okay, so this topic is critical for comprehension throughout pre-algebra, algebra, even geometry, algebra 2. You need to have some of this concept memorized and known forwards and backwards, just as you did 1 plus 1 back in elementary school. So what's a perfect square? Well, when we square an integer, it's called a perfect square. What does it mean to square an integer? Well, take a look here. 1 squared is how we read that, which means 1 times 1. It's 1 to the second power. That's not 1 times 2. It's 1 times itself. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. 3 squared, it means 3 times 3, not 3 times 2. This has been a mistake people make since 6th grade. That is 9. And we need to know the first 15, really. So here's your first perfect squares up to 10. 4 squared is 16. 5 squared is 25. 6 squared is 36. 7 squared is 49. 8 squared is 64. 9 squared is 81. And 10 squared is 100. Now, I told you should have some others memorized. You should also know that 11 squared is 121. 12 squared is 144. 13 squared is 169. 14 squared is 196. And then 15 squared is 225. Throughout this video, you will see some other ones. There will be other ones that come up, but if they are, you'd have a calculator for them. But these you should know without a calculator because you may be asked them. So those were your perfect squares. But the opposite of squaring a number is finding the square root. You're going to be asked to find the square root of numbers without a calculator, which is why you need to know the perfect squares. Positive numbers have 2 square roots, so it could either be one or the other. We don't know sometimes. So why is that? Well, let's think about this. What do you square? What number could you square to get 16? Meaning multiply it by itself. What number times itself gives you 16? Most of you are sitting there saying 4. We just did that. But here's the thing. It could also be -4 because -4 times -4 is a positive 16. So when we have square roots, there's 2 possible outcomes, a positive or a negative. Now, a negative number has no real square roots, and we'll talk about real numbers later, but you won't be dealing with negatives. If you see a negative square root right now, you would put not possible. We're not going to touch on that. And there is a special case. There is one number that only has 1 square root, and that is 0. Okay? So when we go to solve equations, and we're going to deal with this in a little bit, you're going to have 2 possible outcomes. But for now, you'll know if it's the positive or negative based off the radical sign. This is called a radical sign. Right now, we use it as a square root. Okay, and we read this specific one as the square root of x. So when you see it the first way, that's a positive square root of x. When you see the negative outside, that's a negative square root of x. This one is called a square root because the index is 2, and we'll talk about that later as well. So let's go through these examples together. The square root of 49. Well, 49 is a perfect square. What was it that got us to 49? 7. Okay, so the square root of 9. 9 was one of our perfect squares. What did we square to get to 9? Go back and look at your notes. Right, it was 3. So look at this next question. There's a negative there. Ignore the negative for a minute and focus on what's underneath the square root. 4. That's a perfect square. What did we square to get 4? 2. So it's a -2. Now you might be saying, wait, Mrs. Sintov, you didn't tell us about this one. 289. Remember, I told you you'd have a calculator. But I used to make students memorize up to 625. You don't need that right now. But this one is -17. You should have number 5 memorized. I want you to do that. I'm going to pause now until you get this one down yourself. You should have -14. So number 6, we know it's going to be a positive. I'm going to do this one with you guys because you don't have a calculator. This one is 22. Now, some of you might be saying, there's a fraction. Okay, break this down. What this is saying is really it's the square root of 1 over the square root of 16. They just put it under one big square root. So if you took the square root of 1 and then you took the square root of 16, you'd have your answer. So the square root of 1 is 1 and the square root of 16 is 4. So I'm going to pause. I want you to try number 8. Okay, who's got it? All right, -9 over 5. Now let's look at number 9. Remember, separate it out. The square root of 49 over the square root of 144. If you break them apart, you'd get 7/12. Okay? So we're not always going to have perfect squares, and you need to know. Sometimes you can't find them. You're going to have to approximate them. But you need to first know before you know what you need to do. So I want you to go through right now and circle all perfect squares. Okay, let's see what you got. You should have 9, that would be 3. 121, that would be 11. 1 would be 1. 64 would be 8. Now 324 you don't know, but that's 18. Okay, anything else is a non-perfect. We can simplify that, and we will be. So there's going to be some studying involved. There's going to be some memorization. You must have memorized the perfect squares from 1 to 15, which are the square roots of 1 to 225. They're the ones we did at the beginning. You have them. I would make flashcards on them.